Good evening, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for taking part in the chat, and thank you for supporting the channel and watching the videos every single day. And I mean that. Thanks. But anyway, it's I'm going to let you listen to the Martin O'Neill interview because I think we got a reality check tonight. I really think that the Martin O'Neill interview was a reality check of where the club is and where Martin O'Neill sees the club, and the body language. I mean, I'm going to get this picture up of O'Neill. We have drained Martin O'Neill, and I would like to apologise on behalf of the fans to Martin and his family for Celtic being in such a shit show that we had to bring him back. I mean, he looks grumpier than me. I'll just put this picture up there of him. I mean, there's grumpy and there's just, that's a man that's completely just peed off with everything Celtic and the board. And he was asked this evening about tomorrow night's game, but I want to let you listen to this first of all, because it is very sobering, I think would be the right word to use, as Martin O'Neill talking about Celtic in Europe.
Able to compete at the highest level. I think that's the ambition again. Obviously, it's been set aside quite some years ago, and because the side had been successful, had won, first British team to win the European Cup, I think it set a sort of a standard that the club has attempted to get to.
Do you know one thing about Martin O'Neill in this interview? I wonder how he really feels, because we all know that Martin O'Neill won the big cup as his time as a player twice. He did it as a player. We talk about Paul Lambert coming back. We talk about the possibility of a player from Liverpool. But Martin O'Neill did it as a player, and we sometimes forget about that. You forget that Martin O'Neill won the big cup, and you forget that he was a really damn good football player. And when he's at Celtic now, it's very, very sobering to see Martin O'Neill, to see his demeanour this evening. And yeah, he was Clough's best apprentice, and it was completely, I think it took the wind out of my sails tonight, to be honest. Let's listen to him a little bit more.
But we'll find it very, very difficult. Now, obviously, even since my time in 2003, the landscape of football has changed again.
Yeah, it has done. And in 2003, Martin O'Neill asked the board then to invest, to bring in better players. And he knows that the board are never going to change. And he goes on to talk about Scottish football. So we'll just listen to him for a little bit longer.
It is difficult. The big teams spending fortunes, absolute fortunes. Premier League is awash with money. And then you were talking about, for instance, players being bought for 60 or 70 million pounds who don't even start in people's teams. A 35 million pound player is just run-of-the-mill. It's considered run-of-the-mill. That's the difficulty.
Yeah.
That is a serious difficulty. So, and when I came in 2000, we, for a stage anyway, were able to, compete first of all with Rangers, which was big, but secondly, we were able to acquire some really really good players at the time. Now,
That's true, and that's the difference. Martin O'Neill knows that Celtic were able to, for a few brief years, Celtic were able to compete on wages and player transfer fees, and then we what is he, mate? That's good. That's good. Really? Sorry about that. Someone tried to phone. But anyway, we get back to the that took me back there. Yeah, getting back to Martin O'Neill. And the reason I've got Kelechi Iheanacho up, I do believe that Kelechi Iheanacho is a player that I have no idea how that guy was once. Is that Nicholson calling it back? No chance, mate. Not a chance. Not a chance. But that was Martin saying, "You fucking bastards." Sorry about that, Martin. But we move on. But anyway, Kelechi Iheanacho, he was once valued at 20 million. And I was thinking, what has he done in his career? And this is how, and people complain and people moan about. I've seen a lot of people saying today that the guy that's coming in, he's done nothing to prove that he's a good Celtic player. Look at Iheanacho, for instance. There's been one season that he scored 8 goals for Leicester. It's unbelievable. Don't know, and why is the camera's now playing up because of people mucking about with the system. There we go. It's going to do this all night, isn't it? I'm going to have to sort the camera. Bloody hell. It's going to be one of these nights. Man City repaid their travelling fans ticket money back. Well, Celtic would never do that. I take it that was after Man City getting gubbed. There's quite a few teams have done that in Europe when they've been embarrassed at a European level. It's one thing that Celtic would never do. The Celtic would never reimburse anybody, any fan. Ever. That's for sure. But anyway, talking about the finances of Scottish football, Martin O'Neill, Kelechi hasn't had proper service with us, plus he's been injured too much. Look, his stats are there, mate. His stats are there. He's never been a prolific goal scorer in the last 4 or 5 years, ever. Wait a minute, I'm going to have to come off this a second. Why is it doing that? Put this up a second. Just do this. Oh no, I bet that's just switched it off altogether. Don't do this tonight. Oh no. And I bet I've just lost the camera for good. And we'll get rid of that. And we're gone. Oh no. I'm totally having tech issues tonight now after that mucking about. I need to get the camera back. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. We're back. It should be all good now. Oh, technical issues, as they say, and now I'm even bigger on the screen, but never mind. Martin's well pissed off with the board. Yes, he is. And then we're just talking about players. I'm talking about Scottish football. Martin O'Neill was also talking about Scottish football and talking about the money. And he hopes that something can happen soon in Scottish football.
What you're talking about now, as I say, a totally different scenario. Premier League, for instance, you took the Bundesliga, you're talking about the leagues, and it's difficult. The SPL, there's not the money in Scotland, and therefore, things will eventually, if that's the case, then at some stage or another during quite a number of years, then that level will drop. But it's up the club itself, I think, hopefully Scotland in general, clubs in particular, would try and, overcome some major obstacles, which there are now at this minute, financial major obstacles, to try and compete again.
Yeah, and that was what Martin O'Neill said. It's a warning. It's a warning to whoever comes in next as manager. It's if Desmond is a billionaire, why don't they invest more money like Newcastle billionaire, Man City's billionaires? Because they have the income. It's not about just throwing money. They have the TV revenue. They have the sponsorship. That's how teams down in England can throw money at it, because they know that they could run a break-even point of 500 million a year. Celtic are not in the business of just breaking even. Celtic could go out and spend 30, 40 million a year, but you would just break even. And that's not what Celtic are about. Celtic are about maintaining the business and running the club like a real business. The English Premiership should never be looked at because it's a bunch of clubs that are all on the verge. I mean, just look at the state of some of the clubs. I mean, look at Man United, to say a few. Dermot, is he still going to the football? I know it's an obvious question, but is he still in and amongst it, as they say? Anyway, we move on. So, Kelechi Iheanacho, I was kind of thinking that he may start tomorrow evening. But he's not the answer. Iheanacho's not the answer. The manager said that the new guy coming in is not the answer. He's not a big, powerful striker. He's not a Chris Sutton type striker. He's not a John Hartson type striker. And he knows that, whatever happens, he's not the immediate answer. And that was one of the most frightening things that he said to me, that he said to us tonight. That this guy's not the immediate answer. So who is the immediate answer? What is the immediate answer? Is it wingers? Is it midfielders? We seem to be in a position now at Celtic. Do you know? I think Martin O'Neill just put us all in a position tonight where he gave every single supporter a reality check. That face does not lie. That's not happy with the situation that Celtic are in, and he's definitely not happy that Celtic. He understands that Celtic are in a position in Scottish football. Nice one, mate. Cool. Glad to hear that. The English Premier League is a tourist league. Yeah, it is a tourist league. It's a massive tourist league. But getting back to Scottish football, Martin O'Neill tonight, it was a reality check. And if we go out and get gubbed tomorrow, and I hope that we don't, because there is a player that's playing at Bologna that has never beaten Celtic. In fact, every time that he's played against Celtic, they have his team have been beaten. Fair enough. It was Aberdeen, but Ferguson at Bologna wants some kind of revenge. Will he get it tomorrow? There's every chance that he might. But let's just hope that the gods are on Celtic's side. So, Martin O'Neill was asked about any more by Friday. He said he didn't know. Yeah, I know that. He's not confident. We shouldn't be begging a 74-year-old legend to be our manager. That's on Desmond and the board's fault, not doing their jobs. It's not on Desmond's fault. It's the board's. The board's picked the wrong man. Martin O'Neill's biting it. Yeah, listen, I'm going to go right into the comments tonight. Martin O'Neill biting his tongue, cannot speak the full truth regarding Scottish football. Sad state of affairs. I think that he gave us all a realisation that the money's not there. We kid ourselves. Celtic always say we're a big club. The reality is we're a big club in a small pond. We're not even a big club in Europe anymore. We talk about fans all over the world. We talk about having the biggest fan base in the world. We don't have the biggest fan base in the world. When you look at the social media platforms of Barcelona and clubs like that, Barcelona do their own club watch along. The Barcelona with 25 million subscribers to the Barcelona YouTube channel. 25 million. Barcelona does their own watch along on their own channel on their own game. That's how savvy clubs in Europe are, and how much forward thinking and how much it's in the bigger scale of things. The money that they bring in from YouTube, maybe not millions and millions, but they're good at bringing in money. And that's where Celtic seem to be. I mean, we all praise Celtic for doing the deal with Adidas. And the deal with Adidas, whilst it's fantastic, it brought in 30 million. It was the fans that bought the merchandise. I think that there's so much more that Celtic could do. It was nice to see today, actually, that they've used some of the money that's at Celtic to buy some new cameras, because the quality of the video today in the training session was in 4K. So someone's had a couple of upgrades on their cameras, and I was like, finally, Celtic acting like a big club, and we're going to maybe this is the start of us starting to get some high quality video content from Celtic, but I'll not hold my breath. Jed Johnson, thanks for the super chat. Baz, I think Martin O'Neill is shocked with the board. I think so. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I mean that face. It's like somebody that's just pissed off, and the way that he's just, I do feel sorry for him that he's had to come back and deal with this pish. Just hit the nail on the head. Forward thinking, where our board are dinosaurs, and it's how they operate. Yeah, it is, and it's sad to say that. When I went on to the Barcelona, I was watching the Barcelona game on the telly the other night, and I went onto YouTube just to see who was doing watch-alongs. And when you see Barcelona, and you're thinking, that's just, the watch-along's a fan-led thing. But then when you've got your own club doing a watch-along, not just two geezers commentating on the game, not club officials, not club. I don't know if they're club employees or if they're just fans or what. But I tell you one thing, it shows you how in touch a club like Barcelona is with its 25 million subscribers on YouTube. And whilst it may not get the views that a channel in England gets, that is a fan-based channel, they were doing over 5,000 views an hour, a minute at one point. I don't know I've never went back on to see the total views, but it just shows you that Celtic could be doing so much more, and all they want to go down is try and fleece the fans for more money and fleece the fans for more money. Get us on subscription things for this and get you paying even more money to the club, whilst the product on the field is shocking. They're finally making room in bringing in people to the club. They've brought in another goalkeeping coach, strangely enough, to work with the B team and have a pathway. there is a lot going on at Celtic. I'll give Celtic that. There's a lot going on in the background, but I think that as fans, we would appreciate, and this is the whole downfall of Celtic, rather than coming out even quarterly and saying, right, this is what we're planning on doing. This is what we've done over the last 3 months. And this is what we're doing to make the club slightly better. And manage the expectations of the fans. Instead of going, we're going for a treble at the beginning of the season and we're going to go for Europe. Bullshit. Let's just get back to, and this is maybe a plead to the board more than anything, is, start talking to the fans again. Get a TV format where we're putting out information. And this, I know that all the Celtic TV guys are in Europe tonight, but put out a format where you don't have to tell us everything, but tell us of improvements that you've made in the background that's part of a long-term plan. That's all we're asking for. That's all that any Celtic fan wants, is to see that the club are put. But as far as the club are concerned, that's fucking, that's a way above your pay grade. Yous are just customers. There's no need for the customer to know this information, none whatsoever. And I think that I can't see it changing anytime soon. And that's the really downside. As a club, we're in no man's land. Yes, that's right. We are. In fact, we're not even in no man's land. We're in. There's a little boating lake in Kirkcaldy called Beveridge Park, and you hire these rowing boats and you go out into the boating lake. We're out in the boating lake with one oar, going round in a circle, trying to get back in. There's the Champions League's over there, and the Europa's here, and Celtic's stuck in the middle, and it's got the guy with one oar, rather than somebody with two oars just going full pelt. The guy's spinning the boat round in a circle because he's got one oar and he's just going like that. But anyway, Don Mackay was a forward thinking. These stories are fucking nuts things up. Yeah, they are, David. Celtic training ground upgrade was long overdue. That was overdue. What about the 20 million that they spent on Barrafield? Why not do? I mean, this is pointing out that it's maybe pointing out the obvious for me, but there's so much content, so much that Celtic could do, and instead they put out birthday card pish. Happy birthday to fucking this ex-player that just sticks it to the Celtic in the media. There's so much more content that Celtic could do to make the fans feel better and feel part of the club again, and re-engage the fans with the club. Because when you re-engage the fans back with the club, it gets a bit of a good feeling about the club. When you've got a good feeling about the club, players want to come to the club. The big issue that we've got is that the people that are running the club are too slow. And it all comes back down to the fact that Michael Nicholson, he's not the man for Celtic. He's not the man to take Celtic forward. And I really fear for Celtic going into this summer. There is nothing positive on the outlook. And after that interview with Martin O'Neill tonight, it's just, if you can't get Kyogo, get Furiachi instead. If that's why say yes. If that's the case, why did Martin say yes to this guy? Because we need someone in. Simple as that. Barrafield was done for the females. That's my opinion. Yeah, it was done for the females. But if you want to increase people going to watch the female football, it needs a platform. Whether you like women's football or not, I'm not getting into that discussion. It's It's part of the bigger, wider football community. Women's football's coming on leaps and bounds. We had a fantastic female football coach at the club that left because she felt that the club weren't investing in the women's team to take them forward. Sound familiar? Um, I think that even if it is for the academy, if it's for the B team, give us some content on that. Now, there's maybe some, you know, thing where you're maybe not going to do the academy. You're not going to get the young academy players on camera because we all know what happens then is the young academy players then get snapped up by other teams. But there's things that you can do. You know, there's events that you can have. There's training sessions with the women's team. Just, I mean, I know that you see the stats with the women's football stuff on Celtic YouTube channel. Fans aren't interested, and it's just it's plain and simple. People that follow football and that are into the first team, anytime there's a video for the women's team, the highlights, interviews, they completely just they don't get the views, and that's a shame. Don't know. I mean, video the other day with a Celtic women player, 531 views. The Celtic women's coach, 832 views. Another video for the women's team, 500 views. That's shocking. That is absolutely shocking. Do you know there's fans podcasts that get more than that here? Do you know what I mean? If I had a video that did 500 views, I'd be like, well, that was fucking shit. And you're just like, don't know. And then, I mean, even when there's some videos that we put out, I think that Celtic are too late in editing their videos. See, the thing is when a fan, a YouTuber, can go to the game, videos experience, and get it up online and on YouTube before Celtic can, that's embarrassing. Celtic are overthinking it, they're over editing it, and they're over filming the content, if you ask me. But anyway, let's jump back into the comments. Over 50 podcasts do a better job than the club we support. Yeah, that's true. That is true, mate. There's so many Celtic podcasts, and the club just they get it so wrong, so wrong. Do you know? And there's no. I mean, even the first thing that I would do is that there doesn't seem to be. I mean, they do have the Celtic TV little badge on their thumbnails, but you wouldn't know that it was a club video just looking at the thumbnails unless you've seen that. I mean, if that's what they're doing, is they've changed all the thumbnails to put this little bit of Celtic TV on it. To me, that it's not stand out. You know, the thumbnails could be so much better. They're very mediocre. I mean, mine's aren't great, but I'm not a professional. You know, Celtic have people that are professionals in doing this job. But anyway, we digress. Martin definitely didn't look his usual jovial self in the press conference and his body language. No, sitting crossed with his arms. He looks deflated. We're now coming into the end of February, and he's sitting thinking, at the end of January, sorry, he's thinking February, March, April, May. This is going to be the hardest 4 months of my life in football. And when you think that Martin O'Neill's been in football since the 1970s, I know there's a lot of people on this channel who weren't even born when Martin O'Neill was at his height as a football player in the late 70s, early 80s. And now he's talk about a shitty way to end your career in football. I just hope he goes back to telly after this, and it doesn't have too much an impact on his health and stuff, and he's has another good 3 or 4 years on TV, so that he can have the enjoyment of football again. Because I think within the short 2 weeks that he's been back, Celtic have done what Celtic do, and they suck the life out of everybody. Everybody. But anyway, um, says on X that a player has rejected Rangers and then decided to send to Celtic just there. Yeah, that's the even Bobo Glint are doing. Yeah, even Bobo Glint are doing well in Europe. That's a team with a less budget than us. I mean, we should be looking. I've said this before. We should be looking at Bodo Glint. We should be looking at Midtjylland. You know, we should be looking at Malmo. Should be looking at clubs like that are deemed to be smaller than Celtic in fan base and expenditure and stuff. And we should be looking at the way that they run the club. And ultimately, I know that a lot of people left when Brendan Rodgers left, but we need to think like, we need to look at clubs like that, and we need to look at clubs like Barcelona and big clubs, because we have to have a structure in there, and we have to have Celtic people in there that know what it means to play for the club, that we can, so that when we start getting the academy up and running again, and getting it turning into a conveyor belt, seeing Celtic as a viable, realistic option to play your football in your early 20s. And I've got to say it, and it comes back to one person and one person only. Brendan Rodgers friggin' killed Celtic both these times here. For all the good that Brendan Rodgers did do at Celtic, Brendan Rodgers is also the person that wouldn't give youth a chance. You've got Martin O'Neill sitting there going, do you know, we can't go out. Martin O'Neill said a £35 million player in England is a bench warmer. We moan and complain when Arne Engels is sitting on the bench. We complain when there's 15 million sitting on the bench, and we're like, fucking, do you know what I mean? It's crazy. But in England, a bench warmer's 35 million. It's absolutely bonkers. Our current wage bill is 74 million FFP over the 3 1 year period. Horrific cash wise, just yep. Celtic have a wage bill of 77 million. We're going to, I think it was 74 million, but it does have. From what I've heard, Nicholson is looking for a way. Nicholson shouldn't need to look for a way out. Nicholson should just walk. He doesn't need an excuse. People resign from jobs every single day. Nicholson needs to do the. I don't believe that. Do you know this nonsense that Nicholson wants out at the end of the season? He should be chased out our club just now for gross negligence in his duty to Celtic Football Club to conclude football deals in a timely manner that does not put players off, that does not get players thinking, these guys aren't really interested, are they? Because I've verbally agreed, everything's been sorted, I've went for a medical, and Celtic are dilly-dallying. So you know what, I'm just going to pull the plug on it. We've got another team lined up for my player. Players want to go to clubs that want them. But anyway, multiple reasons it should. Yeah, there's multiple reasons that it should have walked. We don't have many players to left to sell who's worth anything other than Engels. Yeah, Martin O'Neill did also talk about that. He spoke about the fact. Let's dive into the Martin O'Neill interview in full. He spoke at the beginning. To me, throughout the whole video, he lowered the expectations on the game tomorrow night. Said that they're a top 8 in Europe club. Said Michelin's destroyed Celtic. We expected that. Hopefully that we can just make a good game of it, really, reading between the lines. He lowered the expectation of the fans, said that we're away from home, strong opponent with a European pedigree, and they might not be doing great in their league, but it's Celtic in Europe. He was honest, Martin O'Neill. He was fed up, and I think he's pissed off that he's going to have to fly home tomorrow night at midnight and get in about 4 o'clock in the morning. Spoke about the Rotterdam game. He says, "Let's say, look, it shows that we can compete if everything clicks and we get good players in." But when it comes to intensity, bravery, physicality, concentration, sometimes Celtic doesn't have enough. And he laid it on the plate during the interview, saying that the priority this year, he was asked specifically about Europe, and he said, look, if I'd been here at the start of the season, everything might have been different. We would have had different expectations. But now it's about stabilising the club domestically. Europe isn't something that he could plan for. He says, now that we're in it, we're not going to throw it away. But it's not part of the bigger picture. We're not actively thinking, let's get a draw tomorrow night. Let's get the 3 points. Let's get into the next phase. Further from Martin O'Neill's mind as possible. Because all he's thinking about is, he's not even thinking about players now. You know, he was asked about players coming in. He was asked about the transfer hype, speculation, fan expectation. He said once again, the squad needs help. Reinforcements are welcome. I hope to get some players in. The board have let Martin O'Neill down. The board have let Martin O'Neill down in the fact that, yes, it is a difficult window to get players in. Yes, it's hard for Celtic when you've got someone like Michael Nicholson that doesn't get deals done quick enough, and a winger decides to go to Sunderland because we didn't get the deal done quick enough, because we were dilly-dallying, because we sent them for a second medical when there was no need for the second medical. The agent even said that, and it was the agent that phoned Celtic and said, listen, we're just going to cut this deal. And Celtic were relieved. Nicholson came across as being relieved that the deal didn't get done. I think is just it's unbelievable to think that we're still in this position. And again, I'm not taking this that he wants a way out. He's got his way out. And it's just go onto your little computer or just your notepads or just even a notebook. Open it up, get one of your wee Parker pens, ballpoint pens, maybe even got your name on it, Michael Nicholson. Get your ballpoint pen and write, dear whoever it may concern who's running the club. Dear Gaffer, Desmond, how you doing? I resign, love Michael. Sorry I fucked up. That's all he needs to do. But anyway, Martin O'Neill says that the squad needs help. We need players. He spoke on the new striker that's coming in. He says he's not a target man. He's quick. He's agile. He's not necessarily the answer to Celtic's misfiring in front of goals. And he's not going to be burdened as our saviour. That's one of the things that I got from Martin O'Neill. There's not going to be this pressure on him to score 10 goals. He can't even score 10 goals a season. his stats show us there's only been one season that he scored 8 goals for his team, including and dismissing the international goals. He got 2 goals that season, which made it to the 10. But anyway, other than that, he spoke about squad fitness. He said there's no drama. Ralston is fine. Ralston travelled with the squad. And he says that everything's kind of just as you were with the players that are available. Didn't tell us who was available. Didn't tell us who didn't travel. Was just pissed off by that, right? Can we expect a repeat of Rotterdam? And at Feyenoord, he said, hopefully we can. Not promising anything. Bologna is the one that we all ticked at the beginning of this competition. Bologna away was the one that we all ticked as a loss. Don't know if you're putting it down on your card, how many points you thought you would get. Win, draw, loss. Bologna away. I was marking that as a loss, and I knew that we would have to have about 7, 8, 9 points before Bologna, so that when it gets to the last game against Utrecht, that's the one that gives us the fighting chance to qualify and get us up that league. We'll be lucky to even qualify at this point. But anyway, selling players, he was asked about the transfer windows, asked about bringing players in. And he said that, look, there's obviously, I can't do anything now. I'm here. We get back on Friday. Hopefully we'll have someone in on Friday. We might be able to get someone else in. But it's not looking like it, is it? For 2 weeks now, Martin O'Neill has been saying we need players in, we need players in, we need players in. The board have let him down. They're bringing in one player on loan. Martin O'Neill wanted a number of players in. We're going to go into the final week of the window. Martin O'Neill says, look, there is still some time before the end of the window. Martin O'Neill's just hoping that we don't get beat off Hearts. Because I think if we get beat off Hearts, and then that takes it to 9 points. And I don't know why Derek McInnes was getting interviewed today, because Derek McInnes' team isn't even playing. Do you not think that was a bit weird? The Scottish media. Do you know, Celtic are playing in Bologna, Rangers are playing in Europe. Hearts are nothing. But McInnes is getting interviewed about the game this weekend. Tells you everything that you need to know. But anyway, the manager says if players are attracting interest, talking about our £11 million player, he said it's a credit to them. But I want additions in. I don't really want to weaken the squad. I want to try and improve the squad. And then it went on to Sebastian Tenecti, and he was asked about, obviously, the privilege. He was talking about the privilege of playing for Celtic and asked if the African Cup of Nations thing was a boost for him, etc. But then Martin O'Neill left the end of the interview with just a reality check for Celtic. And you know, the end of the interview was all about football's changed, the financial gap in Scottish football. No Scottish team has the clout to compete at Champions League level. We'll have the clout to compete at this level if we can get the right manager in. And you know, the fact that £35 million players are just bench warmers in the English Premiership. Martin O'Neill was all about reality. All about reality. Reality, no panic, no hype, a belief without being delusional, saying that we're going to achieve things that he knows that may not happen, not promising the world, talking about effort, talking about being professional. The Celtic board have hung Martin O'Neill out to dry. And that's the reality. And it's absolutely, it's gutting. Absolutely gutting. I believe the 31st of March, Celtic has won this, that will have the league sewn up. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. And if he does, if Martin O'Neill manages to do the impossible, I would say that Martin O'Neill, the bragging rights will go on for years with this one. If Celtic do the impossible, when we do win the league, the bragging rights against Hearts and Rangers, this will go on for years. 73-year-old bangs the league. No jokes from Martin O'Neill as presser. Serious game face on. Yes, it was. It wasn't just a serious game face. It was a face of, this is where we are. And to be honest, I don't really like it. Should be able to buy the Motherwell player, no problem. Or Hibs. Yeah, we should be. But will the board push the boat out? Do the board want to put us in a good position? What we should be doing now is laying the foundations for the next manager. Leaving the next manager rather than, when it's normal when a new manager comes in, there's a number of players that are going to leave the club. The club's in turmoil, fucking shambles. Celtic had an opportunity in this window to lay the foundations for the next manager to come in the summer, to lay the foundations of an improved squad. Because all we're doing just now is leaving the next manager up shit creek without a paddle, as they say. Anyway, it is a bit quieter tonight. I believe that there is Champions League games on. Give me 2 seconds. Let's get the Champions League scores of the games that are on tonight. What was the games earlier today? Galatasaray against Atletico Madrid, 1-1. Karabag, against Eintracht Frankfurt. They won 3-2. Marseille versus Liverpool is currently 0-0. Newcastle versus PSV, 2-0. Barcelona are drawn 2-2. Jesus, that's a result and a half. Barcelona drawn. They're away from home though. Barcelona are not clicking at the moment, it would seem. They're getting good results, but there's something just... Anyway, Juventus against Benfica, that's 0-0. Chelsea against Paphos, that's 0-0. Bayern against Union Saint, that is 0-0. And Club Athletic are getting beat by Atalanta, 1-0, which is interesting. What does that do? Do we care about the league? Yeah, we'll look at the league table. Doesn't change it too much. Carrot Almaty, way down the bottom. They've drawn one game. They've got 1 point. They've had 19. This is how bad it is. They've had 19 goals scored against them in the Champions League. Played 7 games and had 19 goals scored against them. That puts it in a perspective of where Celtic really are. Let's jump back into the comments for the last couple of minutes. And this is Baz, the board, just want to decline the club. Yeah, tell me about it. Man, you don't think it's mental that if we win the SPFL, you'd be lucky to get 5 million for it? It's crazy. I've said this before. The people that run the SPFL, bunch of charlatans. Bunch of charlatans. Scottish football, the people that run Scottish football. And I know that it's not a great... The TV deal's rubbish. The TV coverage by Sky is disgusting at best. Don't know, it's mediocre. You could get way better value for money, but we cling on to Sky like it's the be all and end all. And I think in this day and age, when you've got the likes of Netflix jumping in and throwing money at football, when you've got the likes of YouTube buying up rights for football, there has to be other organisations out there that would pay more than Sky. But anyway, especially with the money that YouTube's got. But I wouldn't like to see the ownership going to America, to be honest. But it is what it is. Why don't Celtic give Martin O'Neill the full-time job? He's not the answer, mate. He's 73-year-old. Give the guy a break. He doesn't look at the. He's. He looks as if his health has deteriorated in 2 weeks. I would not want Martin O'Neill to be here long term, and Martin O'Neill would not want to be here long term. He's already said it. No matter what happens this season, Martin O'Neill said, he said, no matter what happens, Martin O'Neill could win the double and he will walk at the end of the season, no matter what. He will not stay. He will do a Wim Janssen. Hopefully he wins the league for us, and he does a Wim Janssen and then just walks off into the sunset and lives a happy life. He doesn't need the pressure of Celtic Football Club day in, day out. Travelling back tomorrow night and getting home at 4 a.m. and then having to get up and go to Lennoxtown. You shouldn't be putting that kind of pressure on a 73-year-old geezer. Not a chance. It's embarrassing, to say the least. The people, there should have been more people at the club whose heads rolled when Wilfred Nancy got sacked. And it should have been Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay. They're the ones that should have walked, because they're the ones that got it so bloody wrong. Celtic could make between 90 million and 100 million every season. Extra 40 million if you get the Champions League, covers the expenditures including wages. We still have a spare 70 million in the bank. No, they don't, because Celtic's wage bill is 70 million. And when you add everything else onto it, there is not a lot of room there. Celtic's current wage bill was 74 million or something. So if you're talking about the revenue goes to 100 million, right, because we've not got Champions League football, all your other costs are getting squeezed. Do you know? And it's no wonder that the stadium's not getting cleaned up and all the rest of it, and we're delaying spending on stuff, because the budget's tight. And it just shows you how much we need the Champions League 30, 40 million to make the club really profitable. Shows you that the 30 million that comes in from, and I'll tell you one thing, the Not Another Penny campaign, if that's biting into the 30 million that we had for merchandise sales, if that goes away down to 20 million for the year, 15 million, that's another chunk of money that's going to come out of the profitability of the club. Anyway, good morning from Australia. The board have shut all over Marty. It's effing sickening. We all know Martin will pull a rabbit out of the hat. Well, I don't think he will this time. 3.5 million for winning the SPFL. Yeah, it is that. Martin O'Neill didn't want to the cup final, so that means he's not staying. Yeah. We should be spending, even if it's 20 million, we still have to. Yeah, I know we should be spending this window. But it's like certain journalists have said, Celtic are making inquiries, but Celtic are not an attractive option at the moment. And that's the issue. We're having to go out and get players that are not having the best time at their club. But anyway, just put my wrist on the grill making cheese and toast. Oi. We need a bigger league. Don't get me started on that, because I've spoke about this for years. I speak about this periodically, about once a year, that we need to increase the size of the league, do away with the nonsense split. I think that the split totally, it's not an attractive look for the league. I think that's what puts sponsors off. But say you sponsor and you want to target, you're sponsoring games, and say that the last 6 games of the season you have to sponsor a certain bank of clubs. Say you get so many games each club, you've got to sponsor so many games each club, right? And the last 6 games of the season, it's the ones in the low end of the league. It's just, and it's just stupid. It's past its sell by date, and I think, to me, making the league bigger, and people will say, but it's you're going to stadiums that have got less money. It's not. It's kind of spreading the love around a bit. It gives clubs the opportunity to bring on younger players and help younger players into the first team. Because right now at Celtic, the reason that Brendan Rodgers, Ange Postecoglou could not bring in youth players that weren't ready, because every single game is a must-win game. If you lose 6 games in a season for Celtic, you're in third position, and that's no good. That's no good. But anyway, Liverpool are up 1-0. Who remembers when we asked to join the Atlantic League? Dermot refused because it would give our rivals extra funds. There you go. Martin O'Neill will not do another season with this board. No, he won't do another season anyway. He's already come out and said it. Needs to be a season ticket package. Amazon, get your TV games. Yeah, I think that there is ways that could happen, but Celtic TV needs to up its game. Celtic TV buffering and cutting out and stuff. It's just not getting the right investment. Yes, because the board have subsidiary companies feeding from the club, electricians taking way over the odds. Well, you think so? Wakey fucking wakey, talking about the board. Yeah. Anyway, Martinez will be the next manager. Well, with all the subscribers Sky have in Scotland, should be generating more than 10 million for the SPFL. The fact is that Sky has no interest in paying more money to Scottish football than it needs to be, because they give Scottish football a slap on the wrist and said, you turned us down, so we're now going to give you an offer. Do you know, it's like the Chase or whatever it is, when they phone the banker, and he phones the banker and it's Sky, and they go, nah, we've just took that offer away, mate. We're, who's this? SPFL? You didn't want that money? Okay. Oh, sorry, that deal fell through, did it? And you want to come back to Sky? Okay, we'll give you 3 million less than what you had before. Take it or leave it. It's SPFL, take it. And it's like the Kellys and Whites all over again. It is, mate, isn't it? It's not as bad, but I mean, we're in a better financial position, but it's definitely, we're in a place where people have overstayed their welcome, and we need fresh faces, fresh ideas. And Dermot, and I just hope that Ross Dermot, I mean, by all accounts, it was Ross Dermot that sacked Wilfred Nancy direct. He made the call, and I think that I hope that Ross Dermot makes some big decisions over the next couple of months. Martin's face in your picture, Baz, the same face he had in Transfer Summit on Monday. Yeah, well, that was taken off the video. The press conference tonight. Don't know. I think that Martin O'Neill now feels the way that we're all feeling. Well said, Baz. Tell me how much has been spent on the squad. We don't know. All Martin O'Neill says is that the money's there. Don't know. It's not about. It's not. It's obviously not going to be 20, 30 million, but the money is there. You know, there's money left over from the summer window. It's not about money in this window. It's about players not wanting to come to the club, and a big part of it is the fact that Michael Nicholson doesn't get deals done quick enough. That's it. Kick off at 5:45. Finish at 5. Don't drive public transport to get home from town. 45 minutes. There you go. We need to stop going on about money and just talk about where we can improve our tactics. You can't improve tactics unless you improve players. Don't know, and that's our fans. It all comes back into the same thing, Michael. Um, the fans have an expectation level because of the last 10 years of the type of player that should be coming into Celtic Football Club. The ready-made striker that's going to score you 20 goals. You know, we're not in that market. Unless we're going to, if you want to get someone that's scoring 20, 30 goals, you're going to have to go down to League 2 or League 3, and then the fans will go up in uproar. For fuck's sake, why are we going away down there? Oh, you wanted a striker that scores 30 goals. But he's scoring 30 goals in that league. You know, the expectation, I think what Martin O'Neill was doing tonight, and it was apparent, is that Martin O'Neill was managing the expectations of the fans. And he is the first person to do that in a long time. A long, long time. Because Brendan Rodgers didn't do it. Ange Postecoglou never done it. He just thought we can win everything. We can just we'll play the one way. We'll try and get players in for the next window, and we'll do it our way. Martin O'Neill has hit the nail on the head tonight, and just sat there and went. He should have started off the interview with, like, I'm sorry, fans, but I'm just going to lay it on the line to you and tell it as it is. And I apologise. Because there's nothing, I can do my best, but I can't do it with one hand tied behind my back. And I think that Martin O'Neill, if he does pull off the impossible this year, it will go down as the best win ever by Celtic Football Club. Let me just jump into some of the comments. Bodo had put our board to shame. Another Mongrel night in European football. Yep, up in the Arctic Circle. Lewis Ferguson to Celtic. That's not going to happen. Don't forget the plastic pitches. Don't even get me started on plastic pitches in Scottish football. Can you remember when the SPFL first came into fruition and everyone had to have a grass pitch and everyone had to have an all-seater stadium of 10,000 seats. You had to have 10,000 seats and you had to have a grass pitch. We changed the rules just for... And it's the people that run the Scottish game need to hang their head in shame, because it is the same dinosaurs that have run it. I mean, you talk about dinosaurs at Celtic. Honestly. Look at Dunfermline, Partick, St Johnstone, Ross County, etc. Yeah, that's all clubs that could come up. Fans don't get to see the real ongoings. Operations day to day must cost a fortune. I don't think it's about cost, Teethy. I think that if you were to see, if you were to have a more inclusive media section on aspects of it's 2026, for goodness sake. Do you know there is media channels on YouTube that put out content every single day that is almost like TV series productions. Do you know, Netflix style productions that produce content every single day. And Celtic should be up there. Do you know, behind the scenes stuff. No, it could be fucking training facility. It could be the gyms, you know. It could be talking to one of the fitness coaches about what happens when a player's injured. You know, the rehabilitation of Jota. You know, an interview with the guy that's went through Jota's rehabilitation with him, and talking about his progress and how serious the injury was, and how players cope with that type of injury. There's loads of ideas that would engage, and when fans become more engaged with the club, I'm going to say it takes a bit of heat off the board. But the board are bringing the heat on themselves because they're absolutely rubbish and there is completely no engagement. Selling Adam either mugs and posters for £1. We shouldn't sell Adam either. Simple as that. Easy. Bodo had put our board. I've been through that one. I'm going to jump to the end of the comments. What time is it? Yeah, I've been on for more than an hour tonight. From now on, your new players should get 6 games. If you don't produce, if, if you don't produce the good, you're in the reserves. I'm going to show you a player. If that, going by that thinking, right? Let's go back to, where is he? Dies Maeda. His stats weren't they great the first couple of seasons. He was just doing away. But anyway, that's it. That's we love you, Baz. Thank you for that. You're getting the last comment of the night. I've been on for over an hour. We are 20 years behind the financial and media access. We're going to invest an extra 2,000 views per week in his new contract. What? Crazy. We should do a Netflix series. Bars Plastic Pitches are gone next season. It's a season too long. It's a season far too long. But anyway, that is me done and dusted for this evening. A quick check of any potential Celtic news that is out there. And it's all about the new goalkeeper coach that we have. Assistant coach, goalkeeper coach. And there is one about a Celtic, potential next Celtic manager. I'll just see this article. Well, I'm not even going down that road. That's another Wilfred Nancy appointment. What a load of nonsense. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. It's not too bad. We've done not too bad tonight. We're about 1,000 views less than last night at this point. But anyway, see you in the morning.